everybody. That was quick, wasn't it? Yeah, that was fast. Now let's talk about these life-expanding peripherals. This is going to be a real quick one. It's going to be a lot shorter than the last one, so let's get this started. Belmont Unscripted. Once again. Life-expanding peripherals don't really work. They don't expand the life. What it does is it makes your console a mess. For all of my Sega fans out there, you know this pain all too well. If you had the 32X and the Sega CD, you hooked it up to your Genesis where it looked like a giant nasty knot on the ground, and all these cords everywhere. Back in those days, that was 3 AC adapters. That would take up that would take up your surge protector right then and there. That's just, I mean, granted, nowadays you could end in a normal plug. That's fine. But if it all winds up going into one plug where it takes one outlet, that's a lot of electricity to pass through those wires, which could be a fire hazard. So it's probably going to wind up having 3 separate sets of prongs, which I don't think will take up as much energy as the AC adapters, or I should say, as much space. Pardon. But I don't think it's going to take up as much space as those big, ginormous AC adapters. But these things, they just want their consoles to live to 5 years. Well, if you want your console to live for 5 years, put in the bloody research. Okay? You knew 4K was coming. Everybody did. As soon as it went up from 720 to 1080 in like less than a month, they almost came out at the same time. I mean, that's like buying the old school flip phones, knowing that smartphones are right around the corner. This isn't something way out of left field, everybody. Anybody that study technology and studies how the patterns of this goes, you have a huge burst, very brief amount of time where that's the pinnacle, and then it goes back into burst mode. Why not compensate and say, you know what, we're going to hold off on making a console this year, let the other companies do it, we're going to make sure it's done right. And people might say, oh, well, that's just going to make sure that they lose out. Really? Last I checked, Sega, back in the 16-bit days, Sega was so hungry to be at the cutting edge, so hungry to be at the first of the line, that it wound up killing their company. You look at the Dreamcast. A good console, yes. Quickly out of date, yes. It went out of date so fast because that type of technology was already developing. Sony was trying to, Nintendo, Sony, and even Microsoft Microsoft wasn't in the game at that time, but they were still plotting it, they were still planning it. Anybody that knows about business, you know what the other businesses are thinking. If you don't, you need to hire some guys that can get in there. That's actually not that hard. It's called corporate saboteurs. There's billions of these people that are employed by other companies to go work at another company, just to find out, kind of like a secret spy type of thing. You know, corporate espionage, I think is what it's called. They're not there specifically to sabotage the place. They're there to gather information and report it back. Every company does this. Or I should say every large company that does this. I wouldn't be surprised if Dell had some sort of deal with Microsoft or something. If they had some sort of corporate espionage working amongst each other. Why do you think when someone comes out with something new, there's someone right behind them, the exact same thing coming right out? If it came right out of left field, you would have no idea. You would be sign blinded or side swiped, whatever. You'd be hit hard. There. So, yeah, these life-expanding consoles aren't really going to work. To me, patience is a virtue. You don't have to jump on a new console as soon as it comes out. Always wait. Waiting, I know it's hard, but I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, I know you're seeing, like, all your buddies playing on a new console, and you're like, I feel left out. I know that feeling sucks, but financially speaking, it just makes more sense. And then when the improved versions of the consoles come out, bam, that's when you jump on it. Because that way you can look at them and say, yeah, you spent all your money right off the bat. Now I got the better console. Now all of you guys are gonna try to come back to my house to play games. You know what? I'm not gonna let you. No, seriously, don't say that. That's bad. But to me personally, I'm really tempted to just transition over to PC.